Brad Marchand with some comments about the Sam Bennett hit that took place in this series that knocked him out in this series. And Brad really gave an answer that I think was appropriate, given his history, given his past, but also being the current leader of this team and wanting it to not be, in my mind, too big of a focus, right? They're going to need to think a little less about that hit and a little less about the things that have happened in this series to come out of this series with what they want, which is to win it. And my next question would be, is that a possibility for them? So your thoughts on Marchand, your thoughts on where this thing is going.
Yeah, so 2 thoughts on Marchand and his comments. If this surprises you, welcome to Earth. I mean, this is basically what it's been like the entire history of playoff hockey, is that you want to knock out the opposition. You want to hurt them as best you can. You know, Marchand mentioned that the Canucks did that to Nathan Horton. Aaron Rome hit Nathan Horton, knocked him out of the series back in 2011. Nathan Horton was scoring big goals left and right, and they took him out. Like, that is how playoff hockey is done. Look at Bergeron in 2013. The Blackhawks kept hitting him and hitting him and hitting him, and he had all these injuries by the end of it. Like, this is the name of the game at this time of year, and so it's not surprising at all. I like the self-awareness to realize that if he's complaining about that, he's the biggest hypocrite in hockey history. You know, I like that, but what I like about it, too, is he's probably the only guy in hockey that's going to admit that. He's like, yeah, we all try to hurt each other. This is what it is. If you don't like it, too bad. This is how it's been.
Take a player away to make your team weaker. Like, that was great stuff from him. That's like inside stuff where the league's probably looking, oh, don't say that.
Yeah, well, the league, I mean, it might be another example of the Bruins shining a light in the league and making them look stupid without actually calling them out, right? Yeah. And like, hey, you guys have a whole department meant to handle this, and they don't. Like, and top players get hurt every postseason. That's fine. It's part of the game. Like, and so I think, Beetle, to your other point, though, about like revenge and getting revenge, I think that was a problem for them in Game 4. I think they spent a little too much time trying to get revenge, not enough time trying to win the game. And I think in Game 5, they accepted that Sam Bennett is not going to fight. Sam Bennett, my understanding is that Sam Bennett has a pin in his hand, and he's not going to fight. And so, you know, that revenge might have to be on hold. And so what do you got to do in the meantime? Win a game. That's the best revenge. Eliminate this team. Make them go through what you went through last year. Eliminate them.
How bad a pin hurts.
Is it like bad?
I've had pins in my knuckles here because I busted up my knuckle, and the bone, the amount of time it takes the bone to get used to the metal of the pin, it's the dullest ache, and you can just feel that pinch, and it just doesn't. It feels like you got a broken bone.
Yeah,
it's not like it really solidifies it and says, oh, I can go play with this. You still feel like your hand's freaking broken and trying to protect it. I wouldn't get in a fight either.
So he took a slap shot off the hand in the first round. It was his left hand, not the hand he used to concuss Marchand, but. So
that tells you they couldn't line it up then too. The bone, like, oh god.
So my understanding is that he has a pin in his left hand, and that's why he's not going to fight. So the Bruins got to accept that. They got to find revenge another way. The best way is winning a game, and I think that the frustration that you heard from Pat Maroon after Game 4 was kind of how a lot of them felt, where it's like, we want our pound of flesh. Why can't we get it? Why can't we get it? Well, you can. It's going to sting worse than a fight if you eliminate this team.
It's going to cost you if you get your pound of flesh. Better option would be score some goals. Put the puck in the net, win games. That's going to be far more satisfactory here. It's a better result in the end of this thing. They have a shot to do it?
I think so. And if only because Jeremy Swayman's been incredible. He's been unbelievable. Like, I heard, I didn't hear all of it because I was traveling, but I heard, like, you think he looks a little bit fatigued?
Little bit.
That
one that he let in, I feel like he would have stopped that.
Still only one.
I know it's only one.
That's what I mean. Like,
but again, his level of play is still great.
That's what I'm saying.
You take I saw the Sports Up headline, wearing down. Yeah, a little bit. That doesn't mean he's not still great. He's still better than anybody else in the playoffs right now. It's a question of, does that continue on that trajectory, or does he just bounce back because now he's had an extra day and they're great again?
So I go back to...
Which is probably the more likely result.
I don't know if I told this story on here or not. Last year when I was talking with him at the end of the year, he was so distraught. And I was basically asking, like, the mentality of, losing, being the goalie when your team is eliminated. Like, what is that like? You know what I mean? For lack of a better word, like, how miserable is this feeling? And he said to me, he goes, I never want to experience this again. He's like, this is, and what I will tell you is that he's been in this situation twice now. Game 7 against Toronto and Game 5 against Florida. He's allowed 2 goals in total over those 2 games, one of which came off Brandon Carlo slipping, catching an edge, and then giving the Maple Leafs Matthews Nylander punch a 2-on-1.
Quite the opportunity for them on that one.
Just a little bit. Just decent players there. And the second one, it falls out of his glove. They maintain possession and they score. Like, he's played really well in these spots, and that gives me a little bit of belief here that, oh wow, he's serious. When he says he never wants to go through this again, he doesn't want to go through this again. Like, he's going to give you his best effort every time your back is against the wall, because that's what I've seen so far. So can he do that for 2 more games? I mean, that's the big question, but the extra day of rest here between 5 and 6, I think, only helps him in that regard. So that's why I believe. That's why I believe is Jeremy Swayman.
I have no lack of belief in Jeremy Swayman. My lack of belief is in their ability to score. That's where I have issues. Their lack of shots throughout the series. Obviously, that got a lot better in the last game. But that, to me, is where my sort of lack in believing in them comes from.
So if you can activate the back end like they have with Charlie McAvoy scoring, I thought he was their best player. He was their best non-goalie, I thought, in Game 5. If that can continue, and then you had Brandon Carlo score in Game 4, like, these point shots are there. Like, if you can continue to have your forwards press, force some turnovers, and your D is there ready to shoot, Bob is having a hard time tracking these pucks from long range. And I think that's how you're going to get your offense. So
you said that in game the other night, right? You were tweeting that in game the other night.
Just get it on goal. Like, get it on goal against this guy. And look, go back to that where they blew the whistle for some insane reason. And
when it hit his shoulder, right?
Oh my God! I was like, what are we doing here? But if you look at that play, the rebound is coming out to Hampus Lindholm, who's activating right away. He shoots it. The Panthers block it. But like, that's an example of what you got to keep doing against this team.
Yeah.
Like, if you can get your D involved, that's going to really, I think, mitigate a lot of what the Panthers do well. Like, because now they're spinning around in their own zone, right? And so I think that's what you got to do, and especially with Bob, the way he's played in this series. Like, you just got to get pucks on net. And I loved that Brandon Carlo goal, because if you go back and watch it, I think you got 3 forwards converging on the wall there for Florida. They cough it up. Brandon Carlo, he's shot ready, right? And shot ready is the name of the game in this series. You got to be ready to fire it right away. You look at the Avalanche and what they did. Cale Makar, he's a freak of nature, but you watch them in Game 5. They were attack ready. They were shot ready all game. That's how you got to beat this team. You cannot hold it. You got room for maybe 1 or 2 moves, then you got to fire it on goal.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand here.
For more Bruins analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.